this morning. In the pulpit also is our minister, Lori King Nelson. You are welcome here, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background. You are welcome here to join us as we proclaim worth in our spiritual journeys. You are welcome to join us as we sing songs that uplift our very beings. You are welcome to join us here in community as we learn, live, and love together. All are welcome as we worship that which gives us meaning and value. No matter what you call this building, this hour, or this gathering of people, we worship as one body, illuminated by the light of the chalice. If you are a visitor today and haven't signed in, please do so. There's a visitor's table by the front door, and signing in will give us the opportunity to acknowledge your visit and place you on our mailing list to receive the weekly emails and the monthly newsletter. Before we continue with service, I have a few announcements. The next Spectrum Chamber Music Society concert is here at All People's Church tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. That is Monday, March 31st, which is also April Fool's Day Eve. So the program is called Nothing Serious and will showcase the whimsical side of classical music. They tell us to expect a few musical pranks along the way, and if the suggested free will donation is out of your budget, check with David Bindi, who has some vouchers for the concert. Please come, and if possible, bring a plate of your favorite finger food for the reception afterwards. And also, David is looking for volunteers to help with cleanup and setup after the event tomorrow, so he will be available to talk that up to you after service today. Mary Kerwin and Jane Collins are presenting a slideshow and talk about their recent trip to Romania for the UU International Women's Convocation and a tour of the Unitarian sites in Transylvania. This will be here in the sanctuary today, adjacent to the library coffee hour. Also, we are having a church council meeting. For those of you who are new to the congregation, the church council meeting is the twice-a-year convocation of committees. So if you are interested at all in what's going on here, that can be quite an interesting meeting to drop in on. The meeting is at 1 p.m. in Coleman Hall. Representatives from all of our various committees will be in attendance. And I believe we are being chaired by our Vice President, Dean Patterson. So we'd love to see you there if you have the time. Let's see here. And now, please settle comfortably for our musical prelude.
If you couldn't tell, I was tapping my foot and nodding my head. I loved that. Thank you so much this morning. What a way to get us started. Now, with that, let us prepare ourselves for community together. Our opening words are by Gwen Matthews. Whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever you love, whatever it is you have done, you are welcome here. You are welcome to this time, this space, this moment that we carve out of often busy and chaotic weeks. You are welcome to this time for collective breaths, for words, for music, for lighting candles, and for us to simply exist here together. And you are invited into worship this morning with these words from Ta-Nehisi Coates. I believed, and still do, that our bodies are ourselves, that my soul is the voltage conducted through the neurons and nerves, and that my spirit is my flesh. Our bodies are ourselves. My soul is the voltage conducted through neurons and nerves. My spirit is my flesh. Wow. Okay, yes. Yes to all of that. The essence that is you, that spark of life is in your body, is of your body, and it is. You are divine. In other words, you contain the holy within you right now. And now, I invite you to take a breath as we enter into this time of worship in body, mind, and spirit.
We now invite you to rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, the opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words this morning are from the Reverend Scott Taylor. We gather today to receive the blessings of trust. May the relationships in this room remind us we do not have to depend only on ourselves. May the quiet we share help us hear and renew our faith in that still small voice inside. May the music sung inspire us to hold tight to the restorative rhythms of the world. And may the words offered remind us that we too have a voice, one that must be trusted and shared. With our hearts open, let us begin. Please join now in the singing of our opening hymn of the month, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. The young and young at heart are now invited to come forward for the story for all ages here at the front of the chancel. Have we any participants?
I think someone may be going to get them. We're looking for them. You know, with this group, y'all see how they tie me up when I get up here. Yeah, there's no telling where they are. They're out there changing the world somehow, I'm sure. Well, whether I talk with them or talk with you, I was going to speak with them about leadership and what that looks like when you're a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old. We find ourselves a lot of times through our life just being followers, which is okay. We need followers too. I mean, there has to be somebody listening to us when we're a leader. But real leaders and real followers understand that they have a mission and a purpose. There is something that they are good at, that they are setting out to do to make the world a better place. Sometimes making the world a better place looks very much like just being nice to the people next to you. Sometimes it means seeing a problem and working towards a solution. And I know that we do that a lot here. We have a lot of leaders, and that's fantastic. And most of those leaders are also followers. You will find them leading in some areas and following in other areas, because somebody's got to do it. Oh, they're on their way. Okay. Well, quickly, before they get here, because they don't need to hear about money. I just want to tell you that one of the really great leaders is one of our nursery attendants, Aaron. He found a problem within the nursery. There weren't enough supplies. He went out and out of his own pocket, spent money, and bought new supplies for the nursery. And I'm not going to tell you you have to, but if you feel compelled to drop some cash his way, because he would not let me give him money for that. So let's figure out a way to reward that leadership that he gives to these wonderful young people. All right. Hey, what's up? I was already talking before y'all came in, but that's okay. You didn't miss a whole lot. We were talking about leadership and how sometimes we're leaders and sometimes we're followers, and sometimes we're leaders and followers at the same time. As a leader, what do you think you should be doing to be a good leader? I'll get you next. Okay, a leader is someone that you can follow that will do good things. Is that what you said? And what do you think a leader is?
A leader is someone who steers people into the right direction.
That's wonderful. A leader is someone who steers people into the right direction. That's fantastic. Yeah, so should you always be a leader?
Yes.
Okay. Yes and no. I'm going to come back to yours. Why should you always be a leader? You can get other people to do good things. Okay, why should you not always be a leader?
Because you should let other people have a turn at being
You should let other people have a turn at being a leader.
And my dad took away some of my train toys from my train set.
Your dad took away some train toys from your train set
He wasn't eating his
because you weren't eating your breakfast. Was your dad trying to be a good leader of the family?
Yes.
I think he would disagree with you. That made you feel bad, though, didn't it? Did it make you sad? Yeah, it can. Sometimes when somebody's being a leader, we have to do things that not everybody's happy about, right? Yeah, sometimes that's really hard. And sometimes when we're a follower, we have to do things that maybe we don't always agree with. But if we're working towards a common goal, then it's important that we all work in the same direction for the same things, right? So, are you more often a leader than a follower? You're not? Is it about even which one you are? How about you? Are you more often a leader or more often a follower? You're in the middle too? Okay. How about you, Ronan? You're about in the middle too? Do you like being a leader? He's not a leader or a follower? Do you just march to your own drum? Okay.
I did make my dad a train set plaything for my train set,
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
but he took away some parts of it.
Okay.
The airplane and the cars.
Took away the airplane and the cars from the train set. Was that so that the trains wouldn't run them over? You got to think about that, huh? Yeah.
That was when he was mad.
Oh, just when he was mad. Okay. Well, I want y'all to know that it's okay to not be a leader every time, as long as what you're doing is kind. You can be a leader and a follower, okay?
And yesterday, my mom let me bring my soccer ball on a walk to practice.
Oh, okay. So y'all got to do some fun things. Well, I hope this next week brings y'all a lot of opportunities to be leaders and to be followers, and to help other people learn to be leaders and followers. Okay?
Like last time when we were being mean to each other and saying stop.
Yeah, that's a good leader. Is someone who'll say, "Please stop being mean to them." Yeah. That's right. We should always tell them to stop and then walk away. Okay, well, I want y'all to have a great week, okay? All right, get out there and lead the world, okay? Let's sing our friends out. As we leave this friendly place, may the clouds return.
Many of you know, we are opening up our annual stewardship drive, and to speak on that topic is our current president, Ms. Roz Hunter.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm Rozan, your board president, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the goals we're having in the church this year. So every year, the board comes together and we come up with some new goals, and we had a few of them. And one of them has to do with the church building itself, working on security, working on keeping it up. We did actually get the front door fixed after like 3 years of it not working. And we'll be working on safety locks and cameras and things like that to make a place better there. Also, another goal we have is to work on connections between the people of the church. So these people, you come here every day, you say hi to them, but we're hoping to work a little more on knowing the people next to us a little bit better. And when you listen out in the world, you hear all these things about people, that are uncomfortable, people going missing. You don't want to go missing and have no one know where you are. You want to know that you have people who will be concerned about you, who will ask about you, who will know where you are and be able to talk to you. So we want to foster more community among our members so we know each other better. We're also, this year, probably going to do some outreach. I know that UUAs are not big on outreach, but we really got to step up this year. Anyway, to do all those things, we're going to need people. We're going to need money. And so our stewardship drive is going to come up starting at the beginning of the month, which is next Sunday. We'll be patting out packets and things like that, and we really would like it if you all could give what you can, because it's important right now that there are safe places like this church. It's important that we keep running, that we keep being here, that we have those signs over the door so that people don't think this entire state is crap, that they can say, well, there are still some nice places here, there are some good things, there are some people that I can talk to. Help keep our church running so that we will be here and that we will last through everything. It's something that you can do. Keeping this church running, keeping the building running, keeping our programs running is something that you can do. Helping to pay the salaries of our staff. Just being here, our church makes a difference. So do what you can to support that. This is the last month we're singing that opening song, so I just wanted to go ahead and point out again what I saw there. It says, if you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. The offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. It is as much a ritual as singing together, lighting our chalice, or reciting our unison affirmation. It is a reminder of that form of love we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. It is our custom to share the undesignated cash offerings that are collected each week, and we do this on a quarterly basis for a nonprofit or charitable organization. Our Share the Plate recipient for the first quarter of 2025 is the Tarrant County Reading Partners. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code that is on the back of the order of service. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? Please rise as you are willing and able for hymn number 95, There is More Love Somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love there is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
You may be seated. Every once in a while, there's a hymn that we sing that my emotions just well up while I'm singing it. The words are simple, but they're so powerful. Our reading this morning is by Jess Martinez Hunt. You are who you are. No one can tell you who you are but you. Whoever you know yourself to be, you are right. I didn't grow up with trans joy. I grew up with longing, quiet adjustments, and learning how to make myself acceptable. I spent years thinking I was broken, desperately trying to fit into something that was never meant for me. I thought that was just life, fighting for every inch of belonging. Then my daughter, Atticus, came into the world, whole and bright and unabashedly herself, an embodiment of absolute joy, proudly declaring, "I, Atticus," when asked if she was a girl or a boy. She knew who she was and refused to let anyone tell her otherwise. For a while, I let myself hope that she wouldn't have to learn the same survival skills I did. Maybe she could just be. My daughter deserves a world where she isn't forced to fight so hard to exist. One where her joy is expected, nurtured, and uplifted. A world where trans joy is a certainty. Trans joy is sacred, a radiant and unshakable force that refuses to be diminished. a testament to resilience, authenticity, and love. It is communal, a light passed from one to another, illuminating the path forward toward a liberation where we can simply be. Holy in its honesty and wholeness, it offers a glimpse of our world as it should be. Not small, not an afterthought, not a reward for enduring suffering. Trans joy is life itself. Bold, expansive proof that we are real, that we belong, that we have always been enough. That world doesn't exist yet, not the way it should. Until it does, I'll make sure that Atticus never doubts her worth. I'll show her that trans joy isn't just possible, it's powerful. It's bigger than the struggle, louder than the hate, more enduring than the fear. I'll make sure she faces a future where she isn't just fighting to exist, but living fully, freely, and without apology. In a world that so often seeks to erase, silence, or diminish trans lives, our joy is more than resistance. It is a defiant declaration, an absolute refusal to shrink, a spirited promise that trans folk won't just survive, we will thrive. At this time in our service, we pause to honor and give time and attention to those things most important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts and to honor our time together with shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there's a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of the chancel. In our book of memory and hope this morning, we have been asked to remember that we are lifting up all those impacted by the earthquake that struck Myanmar and the surrounding area. Pray for Thailand and Burma because of the dreadful earthquake. We pause at this time to hold and honor the sorrows and celebrations among us, including those deeply felt but left here unspoken. Let us pause for a moment of silent meditation and music. Our meditation words are from Sam Trumbore. Let us turn inward now. Feel the rhythm of the breath, in and out, in and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath, letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment, a peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us, a stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted with each one. Taking in oxygen sustenance, letting go of carbon dioxide waste. Taking in the fullness of experience, letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us. Cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this sanctuary, dedicated to the cultivating of the spirit of life. Dedicated to being a beacon of love for all beings. beautiful. Thank you. The young man sat across the table, nervously stirring his cup of coffee, unsure where to start. There was just so much happening so quickly that his mind couldn't rest long enough to sort things out. Anxiety filled every cell of his tired body. After a long silence, I asked him to tell me about his favorite music, and he slowly began to open up, sharing with me about feeling connected to artists like Chappell Roan and Lady Gaga. But then he went on to tell me about Kim Petras and Shay Diamond, who openly advocate for trans rights and visibility through their music, singing of the struggles, the pain, and the fear that is present for every trans person every day. He said if he had to choose an anthem that reflected his life, it would be Transgender Dysphoria Blues by Against Me, because it is raw and an honest view of the complex challenges of the transgender experience. Then it was as if his heart burst open and all of his hopes and fears poured out from the deepest parts of his soul. He cried when he told me of his broken relationships with his brother and his father. He smiled as he shared how his mother calls him every single day to say she loves him and to see if he needs anything. I could see his anxiety spike as he spoke of the bills proposed in the Texas House this year. HB 3817, which makes it a felony to identify as anything other than the sex assigned at birth. HB 3399, which makes it a criminal offense to provide any gender-affirming care to any person, regardless of their age. HB 239, the bathroom bill, that will net you a fine of $5,000 for using the wrong restroom. A second offense comes with a hefty $25,000 fine. He asked if I could see how they were trying to erase his existence. I was honest with this young man. Yes, I see how trans people are being driven back into the shadows, allowed into society only if they are willing to lie about their entire being, and how our government is criminalizing their truth. I see the impact on their sense of self, their mental health, and their physical health. Remember back in 2018 when Brazil elected a far-right leader? Bolsonaro hated everyone equally: women, the queer community, minorities, immigrants. Then we saw far-right folk being elected in Germany, of all places. A white supremacist gunman attacked a synagogue while shouting, "All Jews must die." People peacefully entering our country through its southern border were called illegals and invaders. Remember back in, that was this month, when federal agencies were busy scrubbing photographic and written references about women, people of color, and members of the LGBTQ+ community from their websites. Agencies said the removals were to comply with executive orders removing diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility policies. Transgender and non-binary people are explicitly targeted through a separate executive order called Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. Yeah. Trans and non-binary people are now facing the most extreme and consistent removal on these websites. History has shown that this kind of systematic erasure comes when governments strip rights from people, starting from the most marginalized groups. Immigrant children, children with disabilities, and those who are LGBTQ+, were removed from a 2022 letter from the Biden administration to governors about supporting school-based health services in late January. The State Department instructed its staff not to mention a list of terms and phrases, including women and girls, when trying to attract international students to come to study in the U.S. The list of words to avoid were DEI, DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, identity, gender, gender identity, gender affirming, LGBTQI+, and all those words spelled out. Sex education, women, girls, minority, underrepresented, underserved, oppressed, oppress, privileged, vulnerable, and vulnerable populations. If you erase the memory, we really forget the people, said Alessio Ponzio, whose research focuses on LGBTQ history and women's studies and is a visiting professor at Memorial University of Newfoundland. It's an act of violence that is very subtle, but can really destroy the psychology of people. Basically, I'm telling you that I do not recognize you. I could go on for another hour telling you the many ways people are being scrubbed out of our history, but the ones who are the most targeted and the most endangered are trans people. We all know this is true, from the removal of the trans people at Stonewall to the constant barrage of misleading content about transgender people spread by far-right activists in recent years. Those narratives focused on unsubstantiated threats of sex crimes, concerns about fairness in women's sports, and health care for minors with gender dysphoria diagnoses. It's not the first time transgender people became a target of the governments. They were one of the groups that were persecuted early alongside suspected communists and Jews by Nazi Germany. Laurie Marhofer, a specialist on the history of Weimar and Nazi Germany at the University of Washington, also studies transgender and queer history. Transgender people are the canary in the coal mine of democracy, said Marhofer. She goes on to say, there are instances in which these efforts could have serious consequences for people the government is supposed to serve. The Department of Veterans Affairs Suicide Prevention Strategy mandates community outreach to veterans vulnerable to suicide, including transgender veterans, whom the department now declines to name. The agency's own research shows that LGBTQ veterans are more likely than the average veteran to take their own lives, and transgender veterans even more so, 60% more so. Veterans already have a higher average suicide rate than the general population. Last month, the Department of Veterans Affairs proposed editing all external communication, which includes its website, to remove the term gender and use only sex, as well as taking the letter T from the term LGBTQ+. Like I said, I could go on another hour and still would not touch on all the ways we are not just marginalizing, but erasing the existence of entire groups of people. It's easy to feel hopeless in the face of a seemingly dramatic rise in hatred and intolerance around the world. A colleague of mine, some of you know her, Julie Cecil. She's a chaplain with Texas Health Denton and someone I admire and look up to. In a summer intensive class we took together on trans justice at Bright, Julie made nameplates for everyone in the class, complete with preferred pronouns and a little fun cartoon character. Julie is pure goodness and light, and I count myself so fortunate to know her. On Facebook, she has a page called Inclusive Inspiration, Music for Being Human. And yesterday's musical selection was Something Inside So Strong by Anatolia and Shay Kira. And Julie was asking the questions: what situations spark your inner strength? And what ignites your holy anger toward injustice? Here are the lyrics. The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The farther you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me. You can decide to turn your face away. No matter, because there's something so inside so strong. I know I can make it. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time. You squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly because there's something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough, when we know better, just look them in the eyes and say, we're going to do it anyway. That's the music of the resistance. What was true with the first known music, the Hurrian song from 1400 BCE, stayed true throughout millennia. Those enslaved, those removed from their lands, those who bravely fought for women's rights and civil rights and queer rights. There has always been the music of the resistance. And I often need to remind myself of music's potential as a force for good amidst the madness. Woody Guthrie, in response to God Bless America, wrote, "This land is your land," to emphasize that the land is for everyone, not just the wealthy. One of the lines goes like this: as I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said, "No trespassing." But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me. Deporte documents the racism faced by Mexican immigrant workers and families, highlighting their treatment as nameless and advocating for social justice. My father's own father, he waded that river. They took all the money he made in his life. My brothers and sisters come working the fruit trees, and they rode the truck till they took down and died. Some of us are illegal and some are not wanted. Our work contract's out and we have to move on. 600 miles to that Mexican border, they chase us like outlaws, like rustlers, like thieves. He even wrote a song called Old Man Trump, describing what Guthrie felt were the racist housing practices and discriminatory rental policies of his landlord, Fred Trump. And you all know that I always use lowercase for their names. I provided that same thing for his father. So, Beach Haven ain't my home. No, I just can't pay that rent. My money's down the drain and my soul is badly bent. Where no black folks come to roam. No, old man Trump. Old Beach Haven ain't my home. These days, we tend to think of music as primarily a source of entertainment and distraction. Beyond this, we think of it as a means to soothe, calm, and relax. We need all these things from music in these challenging times. But music can do so much more than this. Music can empower. It can unify. Music can help us resist hatred by creating community. In an era of profound individualism, where we spend so much of our time alone in front of screens, music can help us reconnect. It reminds us what community feels like, what togetherness and unity of purpose feels like, both oddly uncommon experiences in our times. Historian Emily Ansari says, in North America, when we think of music being put to a political end, we typically think first of the protest songs of the civil rights era. Civil rights leaders used music effectively to create a unity of purpose and to diffuse white American anxieties about Black American resistance. No group of peaceful marchers could be convincingly labeled an angry mob as they linked arms and sang, "We shall overcome." Songs like this, born of human struggle, are still being used to create community and hope. This past week, I listened to someone who has worked tirelessly for justice in so many arenas for so many years. They were worn down, feeling hopeless, feeling as if their work, making calls, writing letters and emails, marching, protesting, feeling as if this was not creating change. We all get that way, don't we? I thought about this all that evening. And then I remembered the benefit concert for North Texas Transportation Network, the one held here in this very space. A concert that drew hundreds of people and raised more than $27,000 for trans youth. And I thought about how this person, the one feeling their efforts weren't having an impact, was up on this very chancel singing so beautifully, sharing their gifts in a real and tangible, life-saving way. I see you seeing those that others wish to erase. I see you and I hear your song. Singing will always be rooted in suffering and resistance. The most beautiful songs were born of it and sung in the faith that one day that song of sorrow would, at last, become a song of joy. I will imagine that day until it becomes a reality. Will you rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life?
Oh, I read. Our closing words are from Marilyn McIntyre, What to Do in the Darkness. Go slowly, consent to it, but don't wallow in it. Know it as a place of germination and growth. Remember the light. Take an outstretched hand if you find one. Exercise unused senses and find the path by walking it. Practice trust. Watch for dawn.
Our benediction words come from Jess Martinez Hunt. Spirit of love, may we create a world where trans joy is abundant, expected, and celebrated, where trans kids, adults, and elders thrive in the fullness of who they are. Let this joy be our guide, our resistance, and our sacred promise to one another. The service has ended. We invite all to join us at this time for coffee and conversation in the library behind the sanctuary.